So it's that time of day where we take you through the papers. Let's go through them then with the broadcaster and journalist Afua Hagan and the author Joanna Williams. Very good morning to both of you. Lovely to see you both as ever. So lots to get our teeth into because there are lots of different front pages around actually, aren't there? And I think, Afua, you wanted to just kick off with the newspaper, which is kind of more fallout really, isn't it, there, an analysis following on from the autumn statement, and they're focusing on migration. So what are they saying on their front page?
That's right. This is an exclusive actually from the Eye, and it's quite an interesting take, and it basically says that the Treasury is warning that plans to cut migration could mean that we will end up paying higher taxes. And that means that we have less people coming into the country to do jobs and to work and to contribute to the economy, to contribute through taxes. If we have less of those people coming in, then that means that we will have to pay higher taxes and that perhaps could be cuts in spending. And this is pretty much in direct conflict and in direct contrast to the Brexit plan that is in place in the moment. And Jeremy Hunt is saying that perhaps we might have to go for a softer Brexit, and one that loosens the grip that has been tightened, or the wish that has been tightened on migration and on people coming into the country. Now, a lot of people won't be happy about that because one of the cornerstones of Brexit was making sure that migration goes down and making sure that we have less people coming in the country. But actually, what this shows is perhaps we underestimated and undervalued what people coming into the country to work and contribute to our economy actually means.
Well, yeah, and Joanna, a quick thought from you on this, if that's okay, because Jeremy Hunt was asked a bit about the impact of Brexit, wasn't he, on the economy yesterday, and there were comments from the OBR and the IFS as well about the impact on the economy. Do you think there is going to be a debate around this again about what kind of trade barriers there are and about levels of migration now that there's so much focus on our finances?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I think what's really interesting is that this debate's taken place at the heart of government, that we seem to have two conflicting ideas. We've got Suella Braverman and the Home Secretary arguing for reductions in migration, and yet we've got the Treasury at the very same time arguing exactly the opposite. So this debate is real, it's taking place. And I think Afua was absolutely right that it does need to be set in the context of the Brexit that millions of people voted for. That you can see the arguments being made that there could be more tax revenue generated from having more people come into the country to work, essentially, I would argue, to be exploited in that way. But at the same time, there is real wage depression for people who are struggling to get a decent paid job at a time when there's a huge cost of living crisis. And the worry is that they might see more migrants coming to work in the UK as having a deflationary effect on their wages.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a huge issue, isn't it? It'd be really interesting to see to what extent there is a focus on this in the months ahead. And let's move on there, Joanna. Actually, the story that you wanted to talk about first is on the front page of the Times, and this is an interview with Britain's most senior police chief. So what's he saying?
Well, Sir Mark Rowley's arguing that it should be easier for police officers who are not able, for various reasons, to fulfil the terms and the conditions of their job. It should be easier for them to be sacked, essentially. And there's some really shocking statistics in here. Apparently 1 in 10 police officers are not able to work to their fully contracted responsibilities, with 3,000 police officers off sick, either for mental health or physical health reasons. But what shocked me most was the figure that 500 are currently suspended on charges of serious misconduct. Now that seems absolutely astonishing, and certainly I think it should be easier for people like that to be sacked. Seems a very severe word, but perhaps under the circumstances of severe misconduct, it's not too strong a word, and have police officers there who are reputable and can carry the trust of the population they're policing and able to do the job. I mean, clearly where my sympathies lie are with some police officers no doubt have suffered mental health problems or even physical injury as a result of doing the job itself, and clearly they need to be protected either if there's another another job that they can be moved on to, or given a decent compensation package. But I think it's very important that the police officers who are employed are actually able to carry out the job of policing the streets in which they're responsible for.
Well, yes, and talking of policing the streets, you've picked out the front page of the Daily Telegraph, haven't you, Afa, which focuses on the safety of women after a couple of prominent cases came to a head yesterday, not least the case of Zara Alina, which is featured here. So talk us through it and what the Prime Minister is saying about this.
Well, this was quite a startling admission from Rishi Sunak, who says that he has fears for the safety of women and girls on London streets. He has 2 daughters and is married, and said that he had a very emotional reason for being worried about the safety of women and girls. And as you said there, this comes after the case of Zara Alina, who we can see here. And of course, we remember the murders of Sabrina Nessa and Sarah Everard, and actually thousands of other women and girls who have faced violence on our streets, not just in London, up and down the country. Now, this is an age-old problem, and yes, we have Rishi Sunak saying here that he is concerned for the safety of women and girls, and like I said, he's the Prime Minister of our country. If he is concerned about the safety, and we have all been, women and men and everyone up and down the country have been for years, what is he going to do about it? I think people are seeing this and seeing this admission and saying, you're saying what we've all been thinking for a long time, but where are the solutions? What are you going to do about it? What is going to be the plan that you come up with to make it safer for women and girls on our streets, not just in London, but up and down the country? What are you going to do to make it safer for us to walk the streets at night or early in the morning or any time when it's dark or any time at all, to be protected from catcalling and obviously more serious crimes? I think it's good that he is bringing this up. I think it's good that he's shining a light on it. We're all concerned about our safety on the street. I would like to know what he's going to do about it.
Yeah, still a lot of questions, you're right. We will have to revisit the issue of the beer ban in Qatar ahead of the World Cup in the next hour, but we will be back in an hour's time so we can talk it through then. But thank you both for the moment very much indeed. Stay with us though, lots of top stories coming up for you next.